सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Sorry, this has gone off. 1 second. So, we are seeing Pañcadaśī, some different methods of unfoldment are being brought in. Next few verses also, Vidyaranya brings in some methods of analyzing the Mahavakyas. So before we see those methods, let us pray to the Acharyas of Pañcadaśī for their grace in the unfoldment. Natva Shri Bharati Tirtha Vidyaranya Munishwarau Adhimahe Pañcadaśīm Kaivalyapadasiddhaye Namah Shri Shankarananda Gurupadambujanmane Savilasa Mahamohagrahagrasaika karmane. So he had said that Satchit Ananda Brahma Lakshyate, this consciousness. And we will see, are Satchit Ananda adjectives to consciousness? Are they attributes of consciousness? Lakshyate means defining, it shines. So, consciousness, can it have attributes, qualities? Next few verses, he will talk about this more. So, in order to understand the meaning of these Mahavakyas, we need to have certain methods of unfolding which is removing the things that are not necessary, which are the upadhis of tat, upadhi of tvam, and what remains is that one consciousness, which is the essence of both. So this is the whole idea here. Give up, he says, the contradictory meanings and retain the primary meaning of both. That is called bhaga, tyaga, lakshana. We saw different lakshanas, or different ways of pointing out to something, defining words, implication. We saw also in our regular day-to-day living, we live through implications. We say one thing, but we already understand another thing. How does it happen? Knowledge takes place. It is not the direct meaning. Suppose I am in a horse race or something, and somebody says to me, "Look, red is winning. Red is winning." Is it the color red? What is the direct meaning of what is the direct meaning of red is winning? Means the color red is winning. But you understand what? The context of the horse race, and you understand there must be a horse called red. Red is winning. So it is, you already add horse into your understanding. Many times like this, we, in our regular day-to-day language, kettle is boiling. We saw that. No, water in kettle is boiling. White House, we saw that White House is proclaiming. No, people in White House are. So like this is called implication. Here also, bhaga, tyaga, lakshana, it is pointing out the truth through implication. And what is that truth? Give up all the attributes of both. Give up the attributes of tat, give up the attributes of tvam, and what you have is just one thing. So what are the attributes? We have seen that the attributes of anything are mithya. If we say clay pot, what is the attribute of clay? Is clay the substance or the pot the substance? Clay pot. Actually, it should be, Swamiji often used to joke, potty clay. It should be necklacey gold, bangly gold, earringy gold. But we always put the attribute before, we put the substance before attribute. The substance is what? In the gold world, substance is gold. Everything else is coming and going. The necklace is coming, going, gold remains. The bangles come and go, gold remains. This is what is called attributes can come and go. So here, what is the attribute of we saw the tamas, consciousness manifesting through tamas makes the jagat. Manifesting through tamas aspect of Maya goes to make the elements and elementals. That is the attribute for consciousness. Remove the jagat. Cognitively remove. We don't have to destroy anything in the world. Cognitively, we see that this jagat is mithya, dependently real. Maybe it is more comforting. Yesterday we had that question. Maybe it is more comforting to say dependently real rather than say as though real. Dependently real. Look at it as dependently real. It is all a dependent reality. Dependent reality means everything is dependent on something else for its existence. Like this, you keep breaking down, and this is where we end up ultimately, even with a little bit of vichara. Very good, go out, contemplate, break down any object in creation. Where do you end up? After particles, where do you end up? Concepts. After concepts, where do you end up? That's where you can only understand there has to be a basis. And here, Vedanta reveals that basis as consciousness. Everything resolves in consciousness, so it is a dependent reality. It is, sometimes when I use it, it is as though it is real, but it is not absolutely real because it doesn't last in 3 periods. So we saw this tamas aspect. Shuddha sattva is Ishvara. So what are the attributes of Ishvara? That the Shuddha aspect of a manifestation give Ishvara the attributes of all knowledge. Give Ishvara the attributes of all power. These are all attributes. Minus the attributes of Ishvara, again, it is only consciousness. And what is jiva? Jiva is the malina sattva, which means the impure sattva. Impure, more of rajas and tamas manifests through the jiva's mind. That's why ignorance. Jiva is ignorant, Ishvara is not ignorant, because it is pure sattva. Here in the jiva, it is a bit, more rajas, more sattva there is, you have more clarity. That's why we say build your sattvic quality up, because more clarity. But we are all tainted with rajas and tamas, which is again going to keep us in ignorance. But minus the upadhi of jiva, minus what? Minus the body, mind, sense complex of the jiva, which are the attributes of the individual. And what is remaining? Consciousness. So now look, there were three things before. What have we done? Minus all the attributes, there is only one thing. That's what he says. What is retained? It is only Sat Chit Ananda, which is in the Jagat. It is in everything in the Jagat. It is the nature of Ishvara. It is the nature of Jiva. And this is the one thing that cannot be given up. Everything else on the attributes can be given up. At any time and point in time and space, these attributes can be given up. Even the Jagat is constantly giving up attributes. Ishvara also in the form, you can say Ishvara is actually swallowed, because Ishvara is in the form of the Jagat. Where is Jagat separate from Ishvara? Both are one and the same. So all attributes minus, there is no contradiction here at all. And my attributes are all the problems of the mind are also attributes of the mind. All the problems of the body are attributes of the body. When I say I am unhappy, what am I really meaning? Mind is in a state of unhappiness. I am able to observe that unhappiness. Mind is in a state of joy. I am able to observe the joy, because attributes of emotions belong to mind. They don't belong to Atma. So this is how I understand. These are all attributes. They are not the reality. And again, listening is the key to understanding that attributes are always coming and going. We saw in the meditation today, you could see everything. You can see the objects in the mind changing. When you hear the words, you see the object in your mind. When you hear the next word, you see the object in your mind. And then another word, you see the object in your mind. But what is it that is constant, lighting up every change of object in your mind? That is consciousness. It is like, my vision, even in the world, my vision keeps shifting. I look at one thing. Can other objects be in the same picture? When I'm focusing on one thing, can I see everything at once? No, I look at the tree. Tree thought takes place. I look at our favorite chili. Chili thought takes place. What is lighting up both thoughts? That is you, the unchanging you, the changing objects always going. So he says here, another way of understanding he brings in here, he says, Soyam ityadi vakyeshu.
Soyam ityadi vakyeshu. Soyam ityadi vakyeshu.
Virodhat tat idantayoho.
Virodhat tat idantayoho. Virodhat tat idantayoho.
Verse 47. Tyagena bhagayorekaha.
Tyagena bhagayorekaha. Tyagena bhagayorekaha.
Ashrayo lakshyate yatha.
Ashrayo lakshyate yatha. Ashrayo lakshyate yatha.
All together. Soyam ityadi vakyeshu virodhatadidantayoho tyagena bhagayorekaha ashrayo lakshyate yatha. So, soyam ityadi vakyeshu. In these sentences which reveal the identity of this soyam ityadi, of saha and aham, of that and this, okay, that reveal the identity, because this and that have contradictory meanings. Virodhat tat itantayoho. So one can mean then and there, here and now. Saha, then and there, here and now. Or that. Saha, that and there, here and now. So in time and space, there's separation. Then he says here, by dropping those parts that divide, tyagena bhagayoho, there is ekaha ashrayaha lakshyate, one single underlying locus, and therefore the same thing is indicated by the sentence. So this again, he uses another way now to understand. It's a very famous example. Soyam devadattaha. It is given in the Shastra. Saha ayam devadattaha. We're going to see that. So when you say tat, actually, tat means that. English, that comes from tat. Tat is something remote, something distant, time and space. It is that, and then you have this. This is I am this. So there could be a feeling that there is a separation in time and space from that which is remote understanding and this. So there is a story that is given. Saha ayam devadattaha. I'm going to change it to a modern context. That devadatta is this devadatta. So suppose you, you're at a party, dinner party or something, and a friend of yours comes and says, "Oh, this is John. This is John." And you're thinking, what are they talking about? Which John? Remember, John who went to primary school with us. John who was with school, in school with us when we were 10 or 11. John, that John. So suddenly your knowledge, what? When you look at this John right now, you cannot recognize this John. Why? Because attributes have changed. Different attributes. Then John shows a picture of the class. Look, this is me. This is John. That's you. So you see, my God, that little John is now this adult John. So what has happened? Attributes have changed from that John to this John, minus attributes, that John, this John is one and the same. So this is how Tattva-viveka or Soyam Devadatta, the Shastra uses here. There is oneness when you see, and it's a cognitive seeing, right? Do I have to take off, this John that I see now, he has a beard and he has grey hair. Do I have to remove the beard and grey hair to recognize that John from my past is this John from my present? Do I need to have any kind of removal physical level? No, it is purely cognitive. That's why Vedanta is cognitive shift. It is understanding that it's just pure understanding. Knowledge is only understanding. Understanding that when the attributes are cognitively seen as mithya, they're dependently real, then what is satyam automatically shines because it is always there. I don't have to create satyam. I don't have to create the truth because truth, reality, absolute reality is always there. It is what is. So here, attributes, this very nice example Shastra uses, similar, Devadatta, but that's a difficult name. I thought John is easier to use, to understand. Jiveshwara Aikyam. This is exactly what it's being said in this verse. The attributes vary, but the intrinsic thing of everything is exactly the same. So the standpoint of identification becomes important. If I identify with that which attributes, I will only live in a world of attributes and qualities. Because of our identification with the attributed world, we only live in this world of names and forms. And again, as I said, this vyavaharika, transactional reality, which is a dependent reality, is given a absolute reality. It is made into Satyam. For me, everything here is Satyam. This is where slowly, when we do more Shravanam, we see more and more that this has no absolute reality. And why is it useful for we have to ask, why is it useful to know this for day-to-day life? You have to take it back to your daily life, because it is not purely academic knowledge, right? At least not in my classes. I always want people to know how this affects my day-to-day life. If you understand this reality is not absolutely real, then what happens to all the problems that we have? What happens to all the thoughts, the mind? What happens? Once that is understood, then everything, all the heaviness that sometimes we carry unnecessarily, the burden of past, the worry for future, the anxiety in the present, these are all unnecessary burdens, because there is not an absolute reality for this world. If I give it absolute reality, I will constantly carry some burden or other with me in the present. I cannot enjoy the moment. But when I more and more see that this is a dependent reality, it is always changing, it is always shifting. When I understand it is always changing and shifting, then what? The problems also dissolve into dependent reality problems. They are vyavaharika issues. Not that they don't have reality. I have to solve where I need to solve, but I do it with much more objectivity. This is the whole key here. More objectivity, less of me in the picture. There is more freedom inside. So Vedanta, whole of this learning, again and again, we see the same thing being unraveled by different angles. From this angle I see Brahman, from that angle I see Brahman. I understand. Look at the elaborate process of teaching here. We have so many texts and so many technical words, all of this. But ultimately it is only to take off that absolute reality given to this transactional world. Once that absolute reality is taken off in your mind, you are free. That is the whole idea. First, it's taken off relatively, your objective to the world. You see more of Ishvara. That's why Swamiji used to say often, have more of Ishvara in your life. Ishvara is everything. Ishvara is situations. Ishvara is people. We create a new verb in Vedanta, to Ishvaraize. Ishvaraize means see everything in order. That order, we say, we get swallowed by the orders of Ishvara. Where am I separate? First of all, Ishvara gets swallowed by the Jagat, because he is non-separate from this whole universe. Jagat, then I realize, my God, I am swallowed also by Ishvara and the Jagat. Where am I separate from this whole universal play of orders and things? I am not separate. So here it's the idea. He's saying, remember, just like the person you recognize minus attributes, it is only the attributes that cover what is already there and what is already shining, what is already real, lending existence to this entire universe. He goes on to say, Maya vidye vihayaivam.
Maya vidye vihayaivam.
Maya vidye vihayaivam. Upadhi parajivayoho.
Upadhi parajivayoho. Upadhi parajivayoho.
Akhandham Satchidanandam.
Akhandam Satchidanandam. Akhandam Satchidanandam.
Param Brahmaiva Lakshyate.
Param Brahmaiva Lakshyate. Param Brahmaiva Lakshyate.
So now he is concluding this section. Thus, leaving aside vihaya. Vihaya means to leave aside. Leave aside what? Upadhis of Ishvara and Jiva. What are these upadhis? Maya and avidya. So we know the upadhi of Ishvara is called Maya. And avidya, on the individual level, it is called avidya. So Maya, although it has two powers, of power of veiling and power of projection, the power of veiling does not cover Ishvara because, remember, Sattva is pure knowledge. So he becomes all knowledge. He is not veiled by his own power. He is not deluded by Maya Shakti. He knows everything in detail. That's why all knowledge, he becomes all knowledge. Another way he is all knowledge is that he knows in the law of, as the law of karma, he knows every action of every jiva on this planet. Incredible. Any action he lights up. Karmadhyaksha, he is the one that illumines all intentions, all activities. He illumines everything from within, if you can say, within, from within. So we may think we're getting away with some activity, but somebody is watching there. Karmadhyaksha. And because he is illumining all the activities, all knowledge, supercomputer decides. Karma phaladata, he assumes another attribute of the giver of the results of action. The giver of the results of action is doing what? Is he creating the results? No. We created the results through our activities. We have to be very clear. We are the ones using the free will that have created the results, but supercomputer Ishvara decides when and where and how to manifest. That is the beauty of Ishvara as this order. Seeing Ishvara as the order, he knows exactly when, where, how to manifest, what for whom. When, where, how, what for whom. Amazing, because it is all, in order, the timely manifestation of any karmas, whether it is unpleasant or pleasant. What we view from the present moment seems very unpleasant maybe, but in Ishvara's order, that very unpleasant situation can turn out to be a blessing in disguise. We say that many times, blessings in disguise. Because whatever is given to each jiva at any moment in time is for the spiritual evolution of that jiva. It is not for any other reason. It is for the spiritual evolution. Of course, most jivas here in this playground of the world want to evolve materially, more interested in that. But Ishvara is interested in the refinement of Sukshma Sharira. So Sukshma, Vedanta talks about, as I said, Darwin talked about physical Sharira evolution. Vedanta talks about Sukshma Sharira evolution. Sukshma Sharira evolution is more refining to make it Sattva Guna predominant. If Ishvara keeps the jiva in Rajas and Tamas, it is already tainted by Rajas and Tamas. And you can imagine, what are we praying for usually in life? We're praying, please keep me in desire and action. Actually, that is our prayer every time. Please keep me in desire and action. Please keep me in desire. Because I want all my desires to produce good results. So please keep me. Actually, that is what we're asking. So please keep me in this cycle of desire and action. Poor Ishvara is trying to drag us out. Saying, no, more sattva, karma yoga. In Krishna, that's why Krishna keeps saying, pray for sattva, karma yoga. Do your activities. Not that you have to give up activities. We know that. Do your activities, but the attitude that yoga makes a difference. The attitude of, I would say, gratitude. Do your activities as arpanam, offerings. Take whatever result comes to the extent you can as prasada. So this is how our prayer converts now. Ishvara being the order of karma and dharma, that is an attribute also given. But he says here, Maya Upadhi for Ishvara, Avidya, which is Karana Shariram. We saw Jiva is caused how? What is the Jiva's cause? This consciousness manifesting through Karana Shariram, Avidya, creates the Jiva. So this Jiva is created with what? Ignorance. This is created out of ignorance. So here he says, cognitively negate this ignorant body-mind-sense complex which actually belongs to the Jagat, and cognitively negate that and also negate the upadhi of Ishvara, and you do it cognitively. That is the key, cognitive negation. And when you realize that there is no attributes here at all, actually, it is as, again, independently real attributes, then you can start enjoying the limitations. Actually, the more you see this is not me, dependent reality, body, mind, senses, you can start enjoying the limitations of the body, mind, senses. You can play your role even better when you know you are not the role, right? When you are detached from the role, detached meaning you know you're the actor behind this role, won't you play the role even better? That's what we were discussing yesterday. A jnani will do a million things and yet remain unaffected. The energy seems infinite for one with knowledge because they're unaffected by the ajnanam, this body-mind-sense complex. So only understand this upadhi is for what? It is for discovering its source. Chit, sat, chit needs a medium to manifest through. And that medium is given an I thought. That I thought is given in order for that medium to discover the source of itself. That is all that is happening here. I know it sounds very, very blunt, but the medium is a manifesting medium. This body is another manifesting medium, like tree. Tree doesn't manifest as much as this body, but this body manifests consciousness. And in this Sukshma Sharira, there is Ahankara, an I thought given in each Sukshma Sharira, I. And what does that I thought have? It has a history, it has childhood, it has gone through so many experiences, and the I thought, with the help of the Chittam aspect of the mind, recalls all of that. The I thought also has a name. I thought has been given a name by the parents or by the guru. I thought is given a name. And what does that I thought do? It collects a lot of experiences in life, lot of experiences, one after another experience, pleasant experience, unpleasant experience, pleasant, unpleasant, like this, collecting, and it stores the memories in the Chittam, and the I lives its life in either past memories, living, collecting more experiences, or thinking of future experiences. This is how the I thought goes from 3 periods of time. In fact, that what has gone, experience that has already gone, is, as we saw, is mithya. That is it. But that was real while it lasted, but it has disappeared now. What remains is only the emotion attached to that. We have to keep saying this, because what I have to negate is not the experience. Experience was real at that time. What we have to deal with is with the emotion left as a residue of that past experience. So that, again, that's where psychology and all of these techniques, we have to deal with that. But if you see it from the viewpoint of what Shastra is unfolding, I am only a manifesting medium for consciousness with an I thought. I am consciousness with an I thought, Chit. And this, analyzing this, ourselves like this, analyzing the Jagat like this, is what Shravanam and Mananam is for. So in this, with this we see, thus he says, negating the attributes, recognize that there is only one thing here. Now he goes into there are some detailed Purva Pakshis. I don't know whether you've studied this before. Purva Pakshis, the people who raise objections. So many of the acharyas, they create these opponents, again to give us clarity. So here, the opponent is Nyayayika. Nyayayika is a logician. So the Nyayayika asks a doubt here in the 49th verse, and Vidyaranya will clarify in the consequent verses. And sometimes the doubts are pretty good, because when you understand, these are some doubts that we may also have. So what is the basis of the doubt? He says, Para Brahma Lakshate. We have said that this attributeless consciousness, we say, is Sat Chit Ananda or Satyam Jnanam Anantam. We say all these words Upanishad also has many words that talk about consciousness. So this is his main doubt. But at the same time, same Upanishad says, no words have access to that consciousness. No words, it is attributeless, qualityless, no words have access to it. So his objection is, you are talking about an attributeless nirvikalpa vastu. Nirvikalpa means attributeless thing through words. And he says, words, how can this be? You're revealing an attributeless thing through words. And now I'm going to give you a few of the ways they analyze. So there's some Sanskrit words coming up, but you can, I'll explain it in English. What do words reveal? What do words reveal? Things with attributes. So he, in this Nyayika, bringing in here, words can reveal a thing that has any of these following. What is the first one? Guna. First thing is guna. Guna is color of something, the taste of something, the intelligence of something, the weight of something. These are all attributes. Gunas are called qualities or attributes. So words can reveal a thing like red, sweet, any adjective you use, words can reveal a thing. But Brahman, can gunas apply to Brahman? No, because it has no attributes. So guna, revealing a word through gunas does not work for Brahman because there's no adjectives, no attributes. And Sat, Chit, Ananda, this is the main doubt. A lot of people think Sat, Chit, Ananda are attributes of Brahman, are adjectives to Brahman. No, we have to understand they are lakshanas. This word becomes very important. They are words revealing through implication. The words are spoken, Sat, immediately without the mind knowledge. When it is clear in the mind, existence shines. When you say Sat, existence shines in your mind in view of the world. Because we know the world, Sat refers to the consciousness appearing as the world. Sat, existence. When you say the word Chit, consciousness shines in the mind. Chit, manifest consciousness shines. I don't even have to understand the meaning. No mind is necessary. That when I do nididhyasanam, this is what nididhyasanam is actually. Without mind, I see myself, I see the Jagat as the meaning of Sat, Chit, Ananda. So when I say Sat, I open my eyes. Existence is only there. Existence is all that is. That is knowledge that takes place in the mind. I say Chit, by implication, that Chit, immediately consciousness manifesting through the thought, Chit, always shining, always there, knowledge is there. Ananda, immediately, limitlessness. Consciousness is not limited to any particular being or object. It is all pervasive. Knowledge takes place without this mind. It is self-shining. So these are called Swarupa Lakshanas of Brahman. Swarupa means of the nature. They point to the nature of the truth. We'll see that more after. But here he's saying any object we know can be pointed out by guna, quality, not for Brahman. So he's making his argument. Another way of pointing to an object is kriya. Kriya means through action. Doing, moving, changing, walking, cooking, thinking, talking, all of this are actions. I can reveal an object through the actions it does. But what is the problem with action? Action requires change in time, right? 1 minute I am cooking. Next minute what? I'm speaking. Next minute I'm drawing. Next minute I'm talking. All action. Can I be cooking all the time? No, I cannot. Although sometimes maybe people can. I cannot be doing one action all the time. So kriya, the very kriya, implies change, implies shift, implies time when you're doing it. Can it apply to Brahman? Can Brahman do anything? No, because it is timeless. It is one timeless truth. So explaining Brahman through action does not work. Kriya is also ruled out, because all doing, when we say doing as well, we say Ishvara, as the creator. He's given again these attributes of creatorship, sustainership, and dissolvership. When he's given the attributes of creatorship, he's viewed as Brahmaji, sustainership Vishnu, and at least in Hindu philosophy, and as dissolvership Shiva. Right? He's given these attributes. So it is as though he does. How does Ishvara do? Again, Maya makes Ishvara into a doer. Always the female. If she's depicted as female, female makes the male do. Otherwise, so she makes him into creator, into sustainer and dissolver. So this is only because of Maya Upadhi. But otherwise, Brahman does not do anything. So Kriya is ruled out. Next, Jati. I can point to an object through its species. So there are many objects, there are many things here, names and forms, which belong to certain species. Species means, the ness of something, the potness of something, humanness. When I say the ness, it points to the species. If you have the quality, that ness, horseness, if you have HORSE, horseness, you belong to the horse species, right? If you have humanness, you belong to human species. Potness belongs to pot species. Like this, Jati points out the object as well. So species, all names and forms share certain species. We're all put in categories of species. But can Brahman be put in a category? Brahmanness? Can we say Brahmanness? No. If we say Brahmanness, that means there is another category of Brahman there's another species that can limit Brahman. It is limitless. If we say Brahmanness, Brahman put in another category, no. There is no other species that limits Brahman, because it is non-dual. So Brahman cannot be one among many. That's why we always qualify that one with one without a second, because it can give an idea of one among many. So we've always never say Brahman is only one, because, among many? No. One without a second. There is no many here. So different species cannot limit Brahman. No jati. So species jati does not apply when it comes to Brahman. The fourth way this logicians bring up is sambandha or samavaya. Samavaya means relationship or inherence. So something can be revealed through its connection with something else, right? So substance, quality, whole and a part, cause and effect. These are all relationships that we see. Substance and a quality. The whole and a part, and cause and effect, these are all relationships. Relationships, what is it we see with relationships though? To relate to something, you require something else. You require another, right? Otherwise, how can I relate? So, any relationship always requires something else to relate to. So, two or more is required for relationship. Brahman is revealed as what? Non-dual. Can it relate to anything? Can it be connected to anything? It cannot be even cause and effect. See, that is why Ishvara is in the picture to explain cause and effect relationship. Brahman cannot be cause and effect because non-dual. So sambandha, to point out to Brahman, cannot work. Cause and effect, this relationships, sambandha cannot point out to Brahman. So there are apparent relations that exist within this appearance. There are apparent relations. Here, within our appearance here of the Jagat, there are apparent relations, but there are no absolute relations here as well. Giving the example, our example, will help you understand this point more. Can the rope that appears can the snake that appears on the rope be related to the rope? Can we say the snake is related to the rope? Can we say the movie is related to the movie screen? No, because what? One is an apparent reality, one is absolutely real. There's no relationship. Relationship, also another thing. You remember, relationship can only happen between two things within the same order of reality. Same order of reality, only we can relate. So we can relate with each other here in this room. We are in one order of reality, right? We are in the transactional reality. So I can relate with people, I can relate with objects because I am in this order of reality. But Brahman, is it this order of reality? It is the one that is immanent in this order of reality, yet it is transcendental. It transcends this order of reality, at the same time it is immanent. Like the light in the room. Light is a beautiful example to understand this. It is very immanent in the room. It lights up everything. It is in and through. Does light not pervade in and through us? It is pervading in and through all bodies sitting here. It is pervading through every name and form in the room. It pervades also around everywhere. Light is immanent. At the same time, transcendence of light, what does that mean? It is not touched by the names and forms it pervades. It is unaffected because it is a different order of reality. So that is why in Vedanta we speak about orders of reality. Light, can it relate to anything in the room? Can light say, oh, I relate to that chili? Can light say, I relate to that plant? Light cannot relate to anything because it transcends everything and it pervades everything. Different order of reality. So here, this is what he's saying. Sambandha, we cannot point to Brahman consciousness through using relationship, sambandha. Then the last thing he brings in is dravyatvam. Dravyatvam means object status. Being a thing available for the senses and mind. Dravyatvam, being a thing available for senses and mind, meaning any name and form and function in the world. Can I point out to Brahman as an object of knowledge? Can I point out to Brahman as name, form and functionality? We know we cannot, because it is not available for senses. It is not available for perception. So dravyatvam, it cannot be used to unfold Brahman. So now we're in a lot of difficulties because all the 5 things, quality, activity, species, relationship, object status, which are used to reveal everything in this world, objects in the world, cannot be used to point out Brahman. So his argument, after saying all this, he's not saying I'm saying all of this, but this is what he means. All of this that we're talking about is within dependent reality, mithya, name and form. So his question is, if the truth doesn't have all of these things, how can you use these 5 ways of unfolding the truth? How can Shastra, Upanishads use these 5 ways to unfold consciousness? It cannot be possible. That's his argument. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you find some words, they look like something in this category, some things. But how, he's asking, can you use any of these words to unfold that truth? Because some property is necessary to reveal an object. How can we understand Brahman through all the ways that we know? Basically, he's asking. So Vidyaranya will answer very technical things coming up next few verses, but interesting, like bit of Sudoku. Think of it as intellectual gymnastics. Sudoku, it's very good to understand. These are all actually, in the Shastra, many of these, in Bhashyam, when you do Bhashyam study, all of this is brought in there. But it is not just for intellectual gymnastics, but it is also to understand that Brahman basically cannot be objectified. So all of this is needed to keep seeing these words that talk about Brahman in Upanishads, that talk about Brahman in all the Vedanta text, are not objectifying words, they are ignorance-removing words. That is what we see more and more. They are not objectifying words, they are ignorance-removing words. So we'll see that more in the afternoon. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.